set.
This is Michael Faulkner, and it is showtime at the April 3rd, 2018 edition of the Weekly Podioplex, brought to you on the Chronic Rift Network. Yes, we're back, fresh from our classified time travel experiments, and... shouldn't have said that. Should not have said that. Changing topics, starting with the box office report for week 13 of 2018, it's Ready Player One in the lead. But all the hype was not enough to help this week excel against its predecessors. 2018's week 13 is 9th all-time and about 27% lower than last year, which showcased The Boss Baby. 2017's 13th frame is the number 2 performer all-time, and the week 13 leader is 2016, which premiered Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. The top 12 this year earned $120.9 million overall. Let's start this countdown with number 10 and Paul, Apostle of Christ, down 2 from 8th. At number 9 is Love, Simon, down 2 from 7th. At 8th is A Wrinkle in Time, down 2 from 6th. In 7th is Tomb Raider, down 2 from 5th. And capping the bottom 5 is Sherlock Gnomes, you guessed it, down 2 from 4th. Breaking the pattern, but not in a good way, the top 5 begins with Pacific Rim Uprising, plummeting 4 spots from first place with $9.4 million and a total of $45.8 million. The budget was $150 million, guys. Not good. In 4th place is I Can Only Imagine, down 1 from 3rd with $10.4 million toward a total of $55.3 million. In 3rd place is Black Panther, picking up $17.1 million toward a $650.9 million total after sliding only 1 spot. We weren't here last week to note that Black Panther is now number 1 in the comic book adaptation, superhero origin, Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Marvel Comics categories. It's number 5 all-time domestically and number 11 all-time worldwide, and rapidly climbing. In 2nd place is new release Tyler Perry's Acrimony, premiering to $17.2 million. Now, audiences enjoyed this film with an A- cinema score, but critics were less enthusiastic with scores between 25 and 33%. The opening performance lands Acrimony between 2008's The Family That Prays and 2010's Four Colored Girls. At number 1 is Ready Player One, debuting to $41.8 million and a 4-day total of $53.7 million. I painted this earlier as a disappointment against previous years, but this did end up as the 5th largest Easter holiday opening in history behind the Clash of the Titans remake, The Fate of the Furious, Furious 7, and Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. You know, 2 years on and I finally get the symbolism of killing Superman on Easter weekend. That just shows you how invested I really was in that title. Not much. Ready Player One is also the largest debut for director Steven Spielberg since Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull made $100 million back in 2008. This debut compares best with G.I. Joe Retaliation and Terminator Salvation. All 3 of them opened on Thursdays to similar numbers, but the older 2 films landed somewhere around $122 to $125 million. As far as reception goes, audiences dug Ready Player One, scoring it with an A-, and critics were of a similar mind, offering somewhere between 64 and 75% approval. With all the sound and fury of the OASIS, the box office premieres for April 6th are demanding silence. This week's headliner is A Quiet Place, a horror thriller starring Emily Blunt, John Krasinski, and Noah Jupe. A family is forced to live in silence while hiding from creatures that hunt by sound. A Quiet Place is rated PG-13. Man, those trailers are creepy. I really want to go see this one. The second title is Blockers, a comedy starring John Cena, Leslie Mann, and Catherine Newton.
And now, standing at 5'7" 5'9" if you count the heels, straight out of Great Lakes High School, the prettiest girl in all of prom, Kayla Mann! Just high fives from now on.
Okay.
Oh, honey, I never thought I'd see you in a dress.
Technically, it's not a full dress. Some material is missing from the middle there.
Okay. You look great.
All right. Yeah, I think it's time to go.
Yes. Yeah, honey, we gotta go. Honey?
Daddy, okay? It's like when he watched Frozen.
3 parents try to stop their daughters from having sex on prom night. Blockers is rated R. Number 3 is The Miracle Season, a sports drama starring Erin Moriarty, Helen Hunt, and Tiara Skovby.
Our next 5 games are against the weakest teams in the division. As long as we keep our emotions in check, we'll take them out without much trouble.
And with momentum and that confidence, the next half dozen wins are very doable too.
Which means if we run the board, we got a shot at state.
You mean to win?
I mean to win. We could win.
For a line.
For Caroline.
Yeah, but wait, how many is the board?
15.
You serious?
I'm serious.
After the tragic death of star volleyball player Carolyn Line Found, a team of dispirited high school girls must band together under the guidance of their tough love coach in hopes of winning the state championship. The Miracle Season is rated PG. And your 4th title is Chappaquiddick, a history thriller starring Kate Mara, Clancy Brown, and Olivia Thirlby.
Come in, all of you, just come in. I want you to all to hear this. Family. There's no more important word. But family is more than just a name. Joey Goggin and I don't share a name. We share a lifetime bond. We're family. We named you girls the Boiler Room Girls. I like to think we called you that because working on Bobby's campaign, you had such a fire in your bellies, wanting to live up to the name on that ticket, wanting to prove yourselves worthy of it. Kennedy name. We miss him every day. His memory endures. His ideals will endure. And we will persevere, because that's what Kennedys do. And I want you all to know that, because you're all part of the Kennedy family now. To family.
Family.
This film depicts Ted Kennedy's involvement in the fatal 1969 car accident that claimed the life of young campaign strategist Mary Jo Kopechne. Chappaquiddick is rated PG-13. There are also 7 titles on this week's limited slate, and you can find those in the show notes. Next up is a look at the home entertainment slate for the week of April 3rd, and it is a light week. I'll begin with new release on DVD and Blu-ray, and that list begins with Insidious, The Last Key, a horror thriller starring Josh Stewart, Javier Botet, and Spencer Locke. Parapsychologist Dr. Elise Rainier faces her most fearsome and personal haunting yet in her own family home. Insidious, The Last Key is rated PG-13. Number 2 is Looking Glass, a thriller starring Nicolas Cage, Robin Tunney, and Mark Blucas. A couple by a desert motel where they find that strange, mysterious events occur. Looking Glass is rated R. And number 3 is Beast of Burden, a crime drama starring Daniel Radcliffe, Grace Gummer, and Pablo Schreiber. Pilot Sean Haggerty must deliver cocaine across the U.S.-Mexico border for his final run as a drug smuggler. Alone in a small plane, he is faced with the burden of choosing between his allegiance to the cartel, his deal with the Drug Enforcement Administration, and saving his increasingly tense relationship with his wife, who is eagerly awaiting his return. Beast of Burden is rated R. Swinging by new releases on digital video, I have one title. That one is The Post, a historical drama starring Meryl Streep, Tom Hanks, and Sarah Paulson. A cover-up that spanned 4 U.S. presidents pushed the country's first female newspaper publisher and a hard-driving editor to join an unprecedented battle between journalist and government. The Post is rated PG-13. Moving right along to TV on DVD and Blu-ray, we start things there with 13 Reasons Why, Season 1 from 2017, starring Dylan Minnette, Catherine Langford, and Christian Navarro. Clay Jensen returns home from high school to discover a box of cassette tapes recorded by Hannah Baker, his classmate and secret crush, who died by suicide only 2 weeks before. Hannah's tapes reveal that 13 reasons led her to an untimely death, and the people she felt were responsible. This begins an emotional journey of suspense and heartbreak to uncover the mystery behind Hannah's tragic end.
Is in the building.
The other TV title this week is Ballers, Season 3 from 2017, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, John David Washington, and Omar Benson Miller. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson stars in a new season of the hit comedy that explores the glamorous and often cutthroat world of pro football, as seen through a group of past and present players striving to stay in the game. Wrapping up this short slate with Blu-rays from the past, I bring you one more title. That one is Celtic Pride, a sports comedy from 1996 starring Damon Wayans, Daniel Stern, and Dan Aykroyd. Lewis Scott is a stuck-up superstar who's about to lead his team to the NBA championship. Jimmy and his buddy Mike are a pair of die-hard basketball fans who would do anything to help their team win, even if it means kidnapping Scott before the final game. Because that's what you do as a fan, I guess. Celtic Pride is rated PG-13. After a brief break for a bout of shameless podcast cross-promotion, the Weekly Podioplex will return.
Are you troubled by the strange ending to Sherlock? Do you experience feeling of dread while waiting for Doctor Who to return? Have you or your family actually seen Orphan Black, Person of Interest, or Sleepy Hollow? If the answer is yes, then don't wait another minute. Log in to the home of all things geek, the Earth Station 1 network.
Our podcasts are on call 24 hours a day to serve all your geek needs.
The ESO network will be right there.
We're ready to geek out with you.
Be part of the crew at ESOnetwork.com.
The ESO Network, your station for all things geek. Classic, current, and beyond. Be part of the crew at ESOnetwork.com.
And welcome back to the Weekly Podioplex. I'm Denise with your Quick Flicks. Alright, so there's no actual news this time. I know, sad day. Well, so maybe there is news, but not enough to fill 5 minutes, and I refuse to talk about Roseanne because I didn't care when it was on when I was a kid, and I still don't care now that it's on as an adult. Do not care. What we are going to talk about, however, is King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. Because I bought this movie, I want to say like months ago, because I thought, from the, from the previews, it was going to be awesome, right? And I kept it in my iTunes playlist thingy, or on my, oh god, what do you call that thing? The Apple TV, and I kept it there, told myself I was gonna keep watching, or I was gonna watch it at some point. Never happened until this weekend, then it happened. And so I do this thing on Facebook where every now and again, I'll hate watch a movie at random. Hate watching consists of a movie, my Facebook account, and all of the snarky commentary I could possibly muster, which, in the case of hate watching movies, doesn't really take a lot of mustering. The Mummy is a perfect example. Legend of the Sword, however, it had a chance to be good, and I don't know, man. I can appreciate what was attempted, but whatever Guy Ritchie was on, I know I'm gonna have to give that one a hard pass. So the movie wanted to be Mad Men, it wanted to be 300, it wanted to be The Lord of the Rings, maybe a little bit of Pirates of the Caribbean thrown in there, possibly some Mad Max, and it really landed in the Dungeons and Dragons territory, minus Jeremy Irons and his total commitment to the role of a two-dimensional evil senator with a power complex. Also, maybe it wanted to be a little bit of Sherlock Holmes, and it definitely wanted to be Game of Thrones. Like, it wanted to be Game of Thrones so bad you could taste it. But whatever it wanted to be, King Arthur was not it. And I do applaud Guy Ritchie for making me sit through an hour and some change wondering what the hell was going on, because, the movie ended 3 days ago and I still don't even know. Also, Charlie Hunnam is British. I know this. I have been told this in chorus on Facebook. I still don't believe it because American television has ruined whatever native accent he had. Oh god, it's so bad. It was hard, and I don't blame the guy, but it was hard on the ears, and it was weird, and I still don't know how to feel about it. For an adventure movie, King Arthur was okay. It hit the right notes of cocky main character with an attitude problem, action scenes, cool special effects, and a plot strung together so loosely enough you couldn't really care about it as long as things went boom. And they went boom. For Arthurian legend lovers, however, stay away. Stay absolutely away. This is not the Arthurian legend you are looking for. This is an attempt to twist the Arthurian legend into an action story. There's no Guinevere, no Lancelot, nor Morgana. There is a Mordred, but he doesn't really count, and Uther is there, but his importance to the movie is really debatable. And in this story, Arthur is orphaned after Uther's brother takes control of the throne by means of magic and a deal with 3 tentacled women. Excalibur comes in there somewhere. I'm not sure how, but it comes in there. After that, Arthur grows up on the streets, seemingly with no memory of who his parents were, even though he was like 4 when they were killed by the evil brother. And people, there's graffiti going all over Londinium calling for the born king to rise again, and obviously Arthur is the born king, and there are people that want to make him king, and mages come in there somewhere, like Merlin is mentioned, but he doesn't actually show up. Honestly, I don't know. The story is quite literally all over the place. For those of you who watch movies for character development and a plot that is deeper than a damp washcloth, allow me to point you in the direction of anything else but this movie. This is not the movie you are looking for. The acting, it's okay. The editing makes absolutely no sense. The scenery is cool, and it had some great ideas, but it never really executed them at all, or even well enough to form a cohesive story. It wanted to be this huge epic thing and wound up being every which way but the way it wanted it to be. It wound up being a little bitty mess, which, okay, so it's the thing that can basically be said about every writing attempt I've ever made, but at least I know when I've written a bad story, okay? At least I know. In all fairness, it's a fun movie to watch if you want to turn off your brain and just sit on the couch and vegetate. It's fun. For anything else Arthurian, you're better off watching Camelot, which is also a great movie, by the way. It is a really good movie. If you really want Arthur read, what's it called? The Once and Future King. Great book. Love that book. So much better than the original Le Mort des Authors, which is so bad in so bad French. I am so sorry, all of you French listeners. You may hate me now. I have disgraced the origin of my last name. Even The Mists of Avalon, author aside and all of her problems aside, still one of my favorite books to this day. I'm sorry, you guys, there isn't any news, and I really am sorry. And I'm going to figure out a way to bring the hate watch to you, because I'm way snarkier and funnier. I'm super funny in real time, or at least I try to be in real time. I'm going to talk with Michael, and we're going to see about bringing the hate watch to you guys, because I feel like you need this in your life, if only to laugh if you're having a bad day. And that's it for this week's Quick Licks. I'll see you guys next time on the Weekly Podioplex.
Thank you, Denise. And here we are once again at the end of a new edition of the Weekly Podioplex. If you want to discuss anything you heard on this week's edition or the show in general, we would love to hear from you. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, what you think we can do better. You can surf on over to the Chronic Rift homepage at chronicrift.com and leave an audio message right there on the website using your microphone. Just click the widget that says send voicemail and follow the prompts. You can also write an email or send an MP3 to weeklypodioplex@gmail.com, or even go short form with Twitter. The Chronic Rift is chronic_rift. The Weekly Podioplex is Weekly Podioplex. Denise is Riley James Keith, and I am Womprat99. Like the creature Luke with Bullseye in his T-16 in Beggars Canyon. You can give the Chronic Rift a thumbs up on Stitcher Radio, leave us a review on iTunes, and you can find the Weekly Podioplex and the Chronic Rift on Facebook. The usual disclaimer applies, of course, if you leave us feedback. It's a good possibility to hear your words on a future edition of the Weekly Podioplex. Take a moment, stop on by, and see what the shows the Chronic Rift Network has to offer. The main show has made a comeback in 2018. It's offered weekly via Facebook Live on Sundays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Grab a cuppa and join in the fun, or download the audio version later in the podcast feed. We also explore our favorite aspects of genre entertainment with the Batcave podcast, the OSI Files podcast, the G2V podcast, Generations Geek, presenting the transcription feature, the Dan and Travis Show, the Sci-Fi Diner podcast, Doctor Who and Mr. Drew, the Home Game Show version podcast, and so much more. If you have a Roku player, you can treat it like a time machine with the Chronic Rift's Roku channel, where you can find episodes of the Chronic Rift's adventures in the 1990s when it was a public access television show on the New York City airwaves. No Roku? No problem, because John is also uploading those episodes to YouTube, Facebook, and archive.org. So check us out and find the culture in pop culture. If you're interested in more of my adventures, take a quick trip to my blog, Creative Criticality, where I'm watching every episode of Doctor Who from the very beginning of that franchise and reviewing those adventures in the Timestamps Project. This week, I'm exploring some of the alternate adventures of the Sixth Doctor. I'm doing Real Time this week, one of the Big Finish stories that got animated. I've got one more short story next week, and then I jump right into the Seventh Doctor's adventures. You can find those reviews and so many more at creativecriticality.wordpress.com, and you can also find Creative Criticality on Facebook. Denise can also be found on the internet at Accessories Not Included, where she talks about her writing, reviews books, and offers her services as an artist and cover designer. She did the logo work for Creative Criticality, and you know that I'm biased. I tell you this every week. I also tell you she does great work. I'm not lying to you. Check her out at accessoriesnotincluded.com. If you decide to pick up any of this week's new releases, why not do it through our Amazon store? You get the newest entertainment, Amazon's low prices and high-quality service, and each purchase you make that store supports the Chronic Rift Network. Your support helps to keep us on the air, and we appreciate your consideration. Look for the links to our best bets and the network store in our show notes, or click the Amazon box on the website. The Weekly Podioplex is a Lucky Shot production and is produced by John S. Drew. On behalf of Denise and John, this is Michael Faulkner. Thanks for listening. Until next time, there are adventures and drama, comedy and action, worlds to explore in the depths of film. So get some popcorn, find your favorite seat, and enjoy the journey.
That's a wrap.